You might wonder why we're not out trying to cut wood. This is what things look like pretty much everywhere. I don't feel like cutting, standing in a pool of water, mud. So that's why we're doing inside work today. Oh, cool. Well, here's that scuffed up piston.
That thing on?
Yeah.
Here's lunch. Salvaging the cylinders here. And this one needed a lot of salvaging. I thought that this one was pretty much about approaching the limit of how much you'd want to do this.
Yeah.
It was needed a lot. So there's different sizes for these. This is a 54, which is the right size. You can see it's it does a tight fit in there. You don't want to overdo it. I want to do a little bit of, I always do a little bit the other way too. It's looking good. That's definitely usable now. So that saves some big bucks there, just by cleaning. Most, I think, unless something's really scored, most cylinders can be saved. Don't you think so?
Well, that's been the trend, hasn't it? Because most of it's aluminum wipe versus actual gored or scored.
I think probably in some cases you can get to a point where there's too much aluminum, and it's like, oh, it's got to take forever to get that out of there. But you know, this thing's actually cleaned up very good.
Oh, by the way, we're doing the prep for the $300 saw. And Bob is salvaging that cylinder for this one right here.
It came out pretty good. To tell you the truth, well, I think that was in worse shape than the one. I always clean this up a little bit. I'll put it back in the package. I think that was in worse shape than the one I did.
Yeah.
It came out all right. So that's that. That's how easy it is to clean these cylinders up. These, I don't know, I got these set of these from Bailey's. You probably get them from different places. Bailey's had all of them. They're kind of sized for different saws. So it's been worth it. I mean, every time you use it, it's worth it.
Camera is on. Just sort of fade into the discussion as we start doing stuff. You got a tool for putting in bearings? Or not bearings, putting in
the seals?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be the same as the 372 seal. Some of those have to get edited out. This is for a 372. That's for the 288. Really, primarily, the difference here is being able to sink that thing a little bit. But actually, that's oh, you're doing a flywheel side. Hold on. Then, what you want is that tool, I believe. Yeah, okay, just tap it in.
You gotta order me one of those.
You don't have that yet?
No. See, now I gotta make one.
I'll start that other little segment over again. Are you going to sit still now?
No, I think that's perfect.
No.
Good. Take that and put it up against the camera, because I'm gonna make one.
Huh?
I'm gonna take that and put it right up against the camera for a reference, and I'm gonna make one. See, there's the spec that looks about like 60 thousandths and about 100 thousandths. Okay. So yeah, this is our dead saw salvage continuation video, and I brought this hammer here, this right here, to honor the shop.
Yeah, these are 385s, 390s. It's kind of good for an average guy, firewood guy. It's fun to have a big saw for occasions when you get into something big and you'd like to have it. But, you know, most of us, honestly, you know, that casual cutter type guy, you really don't have that many opportunities. Or, you know, you don't need it enough, but you can spend $1,000 on it. That doesn't make any sense. But if you do something like this, and you end up with a bigger saw for about, you know, $300, $200, then it's worth doing. You know, my carcass here also came from the pile of Walt stuff, which is nice of him to share that. And we're gonna just kind of like gab along here as we're doing this, because some of these guys out there doing these bolt by bolt builds, I mean, God, they're boring. Now, really, I mean, how do you talk about it? You know, as bolt by bolt. You know, insert the tool and turn it clockwise until it's not, you know, really. So you're going to do that. I'm going to get the tank on first. I'm going to change the fuel line before I put the tank on. Oh, you got to see this. Now this is as it came in the pile that the logger turned it in. This is the dirtiest fuel filter I have ever seen in my life. Remember, that's supposed to be white. You think this guy was wondering why the saw didn't run?
So he's not used to upstate saws. He's used to these nice clean.
No, I believe me, you know. I see it too. Pull that out. That's kind of stiff. That's gross. That's really bad. How do you do your fuel lines?
I cut them at an angle if they're not cut, and then I stick them through the top of it. I grab them on the inside with one of these damn things and just yank it through.
I like to snake them.
And I got one here that probably needs to get done too, right?
I take this the spark plug tool,
Yeah.
and I'll punch a hole in it, there, like that. Then I'll put a wire in it, like this. And I'll just through, out, and I usually spray it with something.
So that's the intelligent way.
But, and there it is. Then you pull it out, and you got on the end here, you can put your fuel filter on it. Because that way you're not reaching in and trying to snare the thing. So,
Yeah, that fuel filter.
I'm going to do, that ain't too
That
bad.
must be a downstate.
I'll apologize in advance for the 50 or 60 times I'm going to walk in front of this camera. Now, these things are all disassembled, so we don't know really what failed and what saw.
No. No, I did put new bearings in this one. Yeah, I usually work quiet. I'm not one of those multitasking people. Talking.
Yeah, but when you're doing the videos that I watch by yourself, you won't
Never shut
never
up.
stop talking.
Yeah, that's true. We'll pick up a little conversation as we go along.
Yeah,
We're really just getting started here.
right.
So, the whole premise has been from the get-go that you can either spend $300 on a kit saw, and Bob was like, you know something? Done right, you can probably spend the same kind of money on a rebuild and end up with a saw that has all of them parts. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you get a dead saw, and even if we're using reclaimed cylinders,
Yeah.
I'm using an aftermarket piston. You're using a fresh set of rings on the OEM piston.
Yeah.
Even if you had to go with a complete new top end, you'd still hit that target.
So Bob's gonna build a freaking hot rod.
Well, it's a little bit.
So not only is he gonna get it done quicker than me,
Oh, we're about the same.
but the saw is gonna end up being a whole lot quicker than
We're
mine.
moving along at the same rate. I'm using the rings and stuff that came with this this maker piston. And my feeling is on this stuff that these parts really should sink or swim as they come out of the box. You know, you take a $10 piston and then you got to put, you know, like $20 worth of rings in it. What have you saved? You might as well just buy the OEM piston and rings to begin with.
I absolutely agree.
So, you know, we're going to see.
But I think part of the other thing is that when you, as a dealer, buy parts, you're not buying things to modify, you're buying things to get a job done.
Yeah. I should also point out too that, you know, as people are pretty much well aware, the prices of the Husky OEM top ends has come down pretty good. The pistons really didn't change though. So the gap between buying the piston or buying the complete top end has shrunk.
Which one of these top ends go for?
$160. You know, the piston is got to be 80 or 90. So,
So it's one of those why bothers.
yeah. So if you're gonna, you know, reclaim the top, you can really save money by putting the aftermarket piston in. Most guys are gonna go with a better known brand. If you buy it, especially if you, and that's another thing, if you buy some of the better known, what I would call the higher end aftermarket brands, and you still got to put rings in it, I don't think you've saved any money.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I just don't see going that route at all. Okay, let's see. Interrupt the camera again. So that part's done. You can never have too many rags floating around. Oh, there you go. Let that sit just a little bit. Kind of put some oil in that cylinder. Another odd piece that interchanges with 372s is, I don't know how some of these things end up this way, but the carburetor bolts are the same as the 372X torque.
Well, the carburetor is very, very similar, isn't it? Same bore. Aren't they the same?
Yeah, they are similar. What? Has anybody tried putting a 390 carburetor on an X torque?
I haven't, but
Well, there's a lot of different ways to do stuff, and just because stuff is different, you know, I mean, it's probably people think we don't know what we're doing here. Tell us we shouldn't be doing it this way or that way.
no, we get that all the time, don't we?
Well, yeah, the way I look at it is there's different ways to do things. It doesn't mean one way is necessarily right or wrong. Getting the ring compressor out without getting it into the other practice.
That's always fine.
Half the valve. And we are seated. See, these are so easy to put these together.
I figured
Huh?
2 old blind guys could do it. Anyone can do it, right?
Yeah. There you go, buddy.
No kidding. One stop saw shop.
Well, we got parts in stock.
Wow, you got compression on that puppy.
Have compression.
come to a saw shop and guess what? Saws get fixed. Don't worry about all the, I'll just grab snapshots of the build, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's going to be interesting now is the commentary. If you got pissed off and pitched the saw somewhere, that would have been a real show.
I'm gonna do that. I was just wondering if you deliberately gave me the bad kit. Oh, I forgot the bag of stuff.
Bob's muffler mod is absolutely what makes that saw work. Nah, I think I'm going to get a Forester. It has to be a beam with cheap.
It's a budget saw.
Yeah.
The oils.
How would you fix a cracked tank?
Well, we're going to do a little demonstration here, which may or may not work. So let's go see where it's coming from.
Does it require heat?
Yeah. First thing I'm going to do is dump this out.
Dry it up a little bit.
Come over here. Sometimes this works. Save a guy from having to buy a tank. And all we're going to do is just melt the crack.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a 50-50 shot. Depends on how deep it is.
Yeah. Well,
And where it is. And this is a thin part of the tank, so you got to be kind of careful. Now, if you're doing it on the seam, you can hold this thing down a little bit longer. It wasn't even leaking up here. Somebody already tried to fix this. They put some stuff on it. That's a really, really thin spot there, so. I don't think this is leaking here, but. You see this thing got hit pretty good.
Spidered,
They're not leaking there. But this is where it was leaking. I might have done it. But you got this little thing down the center.
Put it this way, it's not leaking as much as it was.
No, it ain't leaking at all. A lot of times you get into these projects, it's like, all right, it's just about there, you know, sometimes they need just little finishing bits and pieces.
So we're going to have a part 2 of this one, obviously.
Yeah. Now this thing would be seriously out of whack if you had a retail, you know, because we got other raw materials here.
Right.
You know, if you had to play retail for a coil in a tank, you know, you're looking at, like, it's like $100 for a tank. And you know, $70 for a new coil. So if you that wouldn't work out for you too good. You'd still be way below the cost of a new saw. But now instead of being $300 target, you're going to be like $400 or $500. Well, not in this one, because this one's got no money in it right now.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that'd be so that one's $170 saw. And this one is what? This one got the rings, filter, bearings.
Yeah, actually, I should restate that. Because this one wasn't anywhere near 300.
Right.
So even if I had to buy a new tank, you'd still be like,
you're still ahead.
Be like around the 2 to 2.25 range for this one.
Well, isn't the whole idea under $300?
Yeah, this is
so even with that one.
Yeah.
Even with that one, you would be under $300 with a tank and a coil.
Right.
This one is my $300 because I'm putting the cost of the pile on that one. And this one here is $100 saw.
And none of these have completely new top ends. If you did do a top end on this, like I said, it's like $160 for a new top end.
Okay, let's look at this from a different angle. $300, $600, $900. for $900 into these 3 saws. You know,
That's like not even the cost of one saw.
so our whole premise is
It works.
you can make a $300 saw, a 90cc $300 saw, and it's all OEM and sometimes a lot of new parts.
Yeah, there's a lot of, depends on how far you gotta go. You know, if the cylinder cleans up, there's no reason to have to buy one. If you got one that's totally scored, the price of a brand new one, you can still fall within the budget. But here again, what we said earlier today, you gotta have a complete saw. Because if something like, you know, if this is missing, it's a $50 bill. If the starter's missing, it's a $50, $60 bill.
4, 5. Okay, so if this is $400, 300 plus parts, this is $100.
Right.
So we're at $500 between these 2 saws. So now we have an average of $250, and we've got nothing into that, right?
As it stands now, no, just an aftermarket piston and fuel line, fuel filter, carb kit, spark plug, which is
Okay, let's say
like $15. This one's under 50.
Okay.
As far as cost in.
5. So let's say we threw an incidental $50. So we're at $550. So we still have $350 to spend on these 3 saws to keep them under $300 as an average across the 3 saws. Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah.
So for $300, if we take out the tank, that's $200. If we take out the coil,
Yeah, you still
still
got
have
like $130.
$130 to spread across these saws to end up with an average of $300 saw that's going to run strong.
Mm-hmm.
So the roll back, the whole idea is to prove the point. Even though you're not pleased with the way that turned out because of the handle and the coil,
Yeah, it's just got a back oil.
I still think that we
And
proved
a
the
leak
point.
is a leak. I mean, you know, you could still, I mean, the melting thing didn't work. You know, you could still probably rough that out and put a little bit of JB in there and save that tank. So, well, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try it. But, you know, in the absence, since I got another tank, I'm going to use the other tank.
This is where we stand right now. There's going to be a part 2. And the part 2 is probably going to be at the farm where we actually run these things. And what we'll do is between then and now is we're going to come up with the parts to make them all run decent. And see if we can do it for under that target. So that they're all under $300 saws as an average. I don't know if this is going to be interesting or not, Bob.
I don't know.
We got a video.
I think it's
It's going to take some
might
editing.
come out a little on the stale side.